Guess what, you petty slobs? You're getting another one. This is the top 10 horror films that I found on Netflix. First of all, this is not a produced by Netflix list. These are simply the best horror films that I found using Netflix. Also, Housebound and The House at the End of the Street might have been added, except for I totally forgot whatever the f they were about. Honorable mention since the hype was so high for this one. In Bird Box, Sandra Bullock stars as an undisposed bag of garbage. She's cold, she's mean, and she raises her children with the love that you only see in Nurse Ratched. But then I fall in love with her and emotions ensue. And that's Fast and the Furious? A seriously crazy car destruction scene kicks off the chaos before we come across a classic horror film device. A group of people that we will all watch die one by one. I give it a 10 out of 10, but I'd change that end. I mean, obviously Dead Snow was gonna be on this list. Where else was I gonna see it? The theater. The term Nazi zombies lowers all expectations. And so this film turned out great. I've only seen it once and I don't plan on seeing it again, but it was seriously good for Nazi zombies. 10 out of 10. I won't watch it again. This is one of those horror films that has the audacity to jump into a science book. However, I did Wikipedia Kuru, so I know the plot is pretty solid. It's got a bizarre opening where you're like, I guess I'll stick around to see why that just happened. And then we're given the answer, and you're like, I don't think that's how that works. In the end, themes of isolation, family loyalty, and eat your fucking dinner make this a creepy one. 10 out of 10 would watch again. Hush is one of those rare Netflix gems that everyone seems to like. I'm guessing it's because you idiots get to yap about nothing through this mostly silent horror film. It's like a retelling of The Strangers mixed with that Pete Davidson SNL sketch. What I like about Hush is its swinging perspective. In the beginning, we're watching the protagonist and we're like, what is she gonna do? And then we're with the villain and we're like, what the f is he gonna do? 10 out of 10 would watch again. Grabbers, a Lovecraft comedy. Oh, you don't like that? What about Tentacles in Ireland? Getting closer, you say. How about a shootout with aliens at a pub? I knew that'd get you. You see, some films have great special effects and don't know how to use them. Others have a smaller budget and use them when needed. Grabbers don't give a f and uses them to create a mean-looking Cthulhu ripoff who invades Ireland during a charming love story. Woody Allen meets Sam Raimi. 10 out of 10 would watch this one again. This film has that 80s vibe that we all love from Stranger Things. The similarities end there. This movie is about a babysitter who goes to babysit, but just ends up doing 80s styles hobbies like corded devices. Also, we find out that the baby's room has exactly 0 babies, but 1 popular pentagram. Also, this film does the R-rated thing in my favorite way. The first 20 minutes is decidedly PG, but then suddenly, holy shit, that person is definitely dead. Think that bathroom scene from Drive. I like it. 'Tis subtle, kinda Lovecraftian. 10 out of 10. But why is she pregnant at the end? No, that film had a different title. B-rated 2000s horror films are the best. We can tell easily from the beginning that these monstrosities have 0 budget, and yet they have the imagination to do some crazy scenes. Okay, so I'm basically giving praise to low bar trash, but I stand by my ramblings. This is one of those films. A family moves into a house that you just know the film crew has been squatting in for the past 2 months. Also, instead of hiding the villain, we get to see what the baddies are up to. Love that. Very violent. Ending is nuts. 10 out of 10. Oh, you know I'd watch this one again. Spoiler alert, this film is... What? It begins with a mother showing her daughter how cow's eyes work, and it gets weird real fast. There is a lot of, oh my god no, moments, and they start early. The plot begins when a man who is clearly a predator shows up at the family farm and starts talking to the daughter. The little girl survives, and the mother... But then, the murdering predator is caught. And not killed? Not killed? Yep, not killed. He's not killed. Oh no, you idiot. That would be too easy. He's locked up, and then the story begins. It travels through the life of the motherless daughter, the vengeful father, and the tortured prisoner. Yikes! Not for the faint of heart. 10 out of 10. And that song at the end. If you've known me for the past 10 years, sorry about that. But also, you know I love VHS. More horror films need to be like this perfect gem. 6 short stories wrapped around a half a dozen dudes getting all murdered and shit by a ghost is more interesting than most of what's on Netflix. These stories are short, bloody as all get out, and some of them are Lovecraftian. 10 out of 10. But I've seen this one too many times to watch again. If you disagree with this pick, you can go eat dirt. Together, we can make the sequel and call it Sean versus Your Dumb Opinion. This film is perfect. A typical horror comedy comes out like those humorless cash cows Scary Movie and Snakes on a Plane. Keenan Ivory Wayans and David Ellis have no doubt had their high points, but they lived on a diet of crayons when they directed those films. Horror comedy, it's hard, but this film figured it out. Perfect heroes, perfect villains, perfect 10-point swan dive into that wood chipper. 10 out of 10. This one's best with friends. Found footage, paranormal investigators, haunted mental institution, arrogant lead, quirky sidekick. Nothing new to see here, except that Grave Encounters does it best. The second half is a bunch of spooky scenes, but it's the first half that sells this movie. Your average Netflix horror film is chock full of nothing for the first 30 minutes before you maybe come across one or two good scenes. This movie is front-loaded with an entertaining gang of blood bags before we come across the hair lift scene, obscene tub scene, freaky-ass door scene, blackout scene, stairs scene, blood dripping from the ceiling scene, and of course the final no mouth should open that wide scene. The film is funny, and then it gets good. Or maybe just the high side of B-rated scum. Either way, I've seen this unoriginal gem like 15 times. 10 out of 10 would watch this again. So, what are your favorite horror films that you discovered on Netflix?